What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Down Under Reptiles with Ozzy. Welcome back to another video of Down Under Reptiles with Ozzy. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make a homemade incubator for reptile eggs. Now, we're only going to need a few things for this build. The most important is going to be a thermostat so we can regulate the temperature inside the incubator. Now, it doesn't have to be this exact thermostat as long as you have a thermostat to control and regulate the temperature. Next up, we're going to need is some alfoil for the inner lining of the incubator to keep the temperature in there. And we're also going to need a form of heat source, which you can use any heat mat or a heat cord that can provide the heat inside the incubator. And last but least, we're going to need some water bottles. Now, I'll show you what these are for when we get into the build, but they also are important. And last but least, we're going to need the shell of the incubator. Now, I'm going to be using this esky that I found in my shed that's ready for retirement. Now, if you guys don't have any eskies laying around in the shed, you can buy them relatively cheap. All right, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into this build and I'll show you how to do it. Alrighty guys, the first thing you're gonna wanna do is remove the lid to your esky. Now, you're gonna need some form of pliers or a very sharp knife. And what you're gonna wanna do in this corner here, you're gonna wanna in-groove a little groove in here and cut it out, just like that. So then that way, when you put your heat cords and your probe for your thermostat, it can go in there and the lid can still shut and keep the heat inside this incubator. So what we're gonna do to start off with is I'm going to grab some alfoil and I'm gonna put it down the bottom here. And what this alfoil is gonna do is it's gonna allow this temperature to stay nice and warm and be not able to escape and sort of keep that heat in there. So I'm gonna put a piece down the bottom just like that. And then I'm going to get my heat mat and you're going to want to place it in the center of the cooler and then just run your cord through that little slit there that you've cut just on the side there like that. And then you're going to want to get another bit of alfoil and use a bit of tape just so you can run it around the inner walls of the cooler, just like this. And then the water bottles. Now, I was saying just before how important they are. So what they're for is you place them down the bottom of the cooler just like that. So when you take the lid off, what's going to happen is the temperature is going to drop dramatically and water will actually retain the heat. So then that way it won't take as long to get back up to temperature when you check on those eggs, because eggs do not like that temperature drop, and obviously it will take forever to get back up to your heat. So your water bottles will hold that heat for you. So what you want to do is fill the bottom with water bottles just like this. And then I've gone ahead and found this in the shed, which is like a little grate. Now, you can get some great stuff from the hardware pretty cheap as well, but I've just found this, so I'm going to use this and put this just on top of the water bottle. So then that way when you place your eggs, it's not sitting directly on the heat source itself. It's a little bit elevated from it and won't be cooking straight on the heat source. So after you've gone ahead and done that, I've noticed with my esky, I've got this little indentation up the top here. Now, heat will rise and I'm assuming it's going to go in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bit of alfoil over the top of this lid just to prevent that from going up there and sort of trapping the heat more directly and sort of pushing it back down instead of finding its way up there. I'm going to go ahead just like that. And we'll put the lid back on the incubator just like that. And I'm going to take my thermostat. Now, your thermostat may not be the same, so you may not be able to mount it like that, but you should be able to mount it with some tape or any sort of sticky stuff. But what I'm going to do is on my thermometer here, I've got some screw holes. So I've gone ahead and pre-drilled 2 holes here already. So I'm going to go ahead and screw this bad boy in with these screws that I've got here. Now, if the screws do penetrate through the esky, what you can do is use a bit of heat tape on the underneath. That way the heat won't escape from those little holes that the screws produce. Because obviously we want to maximize the temperature as best as possible. So obviously adding any kind of holes or any kind of gaps is going to allow that heat to escape, which is what we want to minimize. That's why we use this alfoil as well. So that's all mounted on there. So now all you got to do is get your little probe for your thermostat and open up the cooler and place it in the bottom of the cooler, or you can place it inside your eggs when you put the eggs in their little compartment. And then just run that little cord back through the side like that, so you can shut the lid nice and tight. And then just grab your cord for the heat mat, plug that in, and then just plug your thermostat into a outlet, and voila, set your temperature to whatever desire you need for, depending on whatever eggs you're incubating. So hopefully guys enjoyed this video on how to make a homemade incubator for under $50. Alrighty, that's going to be it for Down Under Reptiles for today. Now if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps out a lot. And if you guys are big fans of reptiles and venomous snakes, make sure you guys stick around, because there's going to be some great content coming up very soon with pythons as well as venomous snakes as well. So as always guys, we'll catch you in the next one.